it. They are doing anything they can to be against civilization and have complete fear and control over countries. So they are moving toward that direction. There was an honor killing in Canada about a month or two ago. I just heard it in the news. So these are indirect result of Iranian regime promotion of religious fascism and elimination of liberty and freedom.
So what was the killing about exactly? What is it?
I believe the youngster, the teenage girl, young woman, she was writing poetries in her online Facebook or online blogs, that how much she was under pressure and forced by her father to act certain way or wear certain clothes, and she was expressing that my personal freedom is being taken away. And then all of a sudden everyone heard that I think either a family member killed her as part of the honor killing. Iranian regime promotes, legalizes, and sanctions honor killing. So basically, if a father or a brother decides the female member of the family is out of line, like I've heard it was in the news that the daughter of this family got married. After a year or two of living with her new husband, she found out that he's very repressive. So many times she came back home. The father found this as against the honor of the family and had the brother strangle her to death. The government says, yeah, that was, they had the right, they can do that.
So there's no murder charge?
No, so I want to ask United Nations and international bodies and governments who have trade relationship with this regime, that this is the value system they're operating. Sooner or later, then they are, after they say it, to export this value system in every community they can. They're starting with Middle East, Iraq, Lebanon, Palestine, everywhere, and they're going everywhere they can.
And to ask why, if we have some leverage that we can use, why we're not using it.
So the idea here is be alongside of Iranian people who have suffered and who have sent all these messages with their protest, and the fact that they got organized, they have very organized resistance movement under the ground, and they're, as you said, grassroots moving forward, and align with them. We have a common enemy and isolate this regime. Actually, the resistance movement is so much against the violence, is so much in support of a human rights declaration that they actually announced as part of their charter. They had a big charter about the freedom of the press, freedom of women, freedom of religious practices, freedom of ethnic groups, freedom of associations, and then one of it was removal of execution as a form of sentencing. So Iranian resistance
was this the National Resistance Council?
Yes, that's correct, National Council of Resistance. So when you look at this 100 years of struggle for democracy and freedom, these are all the result of so-called best practices and lessons learned. That you gotta be organized, you gotta have a solid strategy, you gotta be pervasive, extensive, you gotta be sustainable.
Because the fascist fundamentalist regime is very sophisticated.
Very sophisticated. They do anything they can.
Now, but we had mentioned the grassroots movement. This National Council of Resistance is different from that grassroots movement.
No. They are all of the same. There is a lot of independent movement happening in Iran, but the spirit is the same. If you look at all their charters, you see all aligned. They're all saying they're starting with individual freedom, civil freedom, gender equality, either at workplace, at the family law, and they're making their way toward the political freedom. So if you look at, depending on where their focus is, each of these efforts, they're all along the same path. So this is what I want to present, that there is an alternative. Speaking of the policy option, you don't have to just deal with Iranian regime, put up with their illogical behavior and export of terrorism. Support the national movement that is resisting and isolate the regime. Give seats at United Nations to the representative of Iranian people, to the representative of the National Council of Resistance, so that they can present and be an advocate of people. Mm-hmm. And
we have a very expensive war going on, and I'm not just talking about dollars. And then if that is, as has been said, part of the war on terrorism, or is the war on terrorism, that if we have a way to actually achieve, by winning, achieve a win in this war on terrorism, that we should take especially any means that are peaceful means.
Definitely. I mean, example that comes to my mind, when you have a healthy lawn, the root is healthy, you have very nice lawn. But when it gets full of weeds, no matter how often you cut the leaves of the weeds, this is a lawn that the weeds are growing, and it's getting that bad. That's what's happening in Iran. The ruling government, it's the weeds. The more you just not talk to them, or sanctions are definitely very helpful. I mean, any appeasement, it's going to strengthen those roots, those weeds. Mm-hmm. We don't want that. But what you want is strengthen the people, the foundation, which is the population of that country. The population of that country has not put up with the repression of this regime. Otherwise, this regime did not have to execute and hang 10 people at a time at the corner, at the street corners. We had that in the recent months that has been happening, or cut hands and legs in public to create fear. If this was a regime that people have put up and they were going out about their own ways, the regime didn't have to do that. So there are very clear evidence that a very healthy, strong, organized, an expansive movement against this regime. They need international help not to strengthen the regime. Mm-hmm. Instead, they strengthen the resistance movement.
Help to be asking some accountability, yes, of the regime, and to be able to send in monitors that can look more deeply, or they're just not allowed to look?
So they are not allowed, but what do? You accept that? No. Then you say, okay, then you cannot be a representative of this country in UN. We have to give the seat to an organizations or a number of organizations
who will give the figures.
Representation, yes. Mm-hmm. So there are policy options. U.S. Congressmen, congresswomen, senators, members of the media. We need to reach out to them, mm-hmm, and tell them this is what we are hearing. We don't want to. I mean, we are putting U.S. In a difficult position by not standing up to the Iranian regime.
And so that's, as individuals, that's what you would like to see happen, is to have more individuals trying to contact, yes, the leaders, yes, whoever is their community leaders, their presidential candidates, yes, their UN delegates, their congressmen and women.
And provide, I mean, this is the age of information. This is a knowledge, age of knowledge. The more you learn, the more you understand, just like the letter I read earlier, the more you can resist and take actions to remove the barrier for development and progress. If we ignore what's happening in Iran and the growth of fundamentalism, it's gonna eventually directly and indirectly impact us.